The Golden State Warriors are still likely to be active before the February 6 trade deadline, even if there's been some concerning recent comments that suggests the franchise is consigned to their fate this season. While all the attention is focused on what the Warriors may do and the future of a number of potential trade candidates, there are also a number of former Golden State players who could find themselves on the move in the coming weeks. 3 former Warriors who may be traded before the deadline. There's a host of former Warrior players who could be involved in potential trades, including Jordan Poole, who was linked to the Denver Nuggets last month. Poole's hefty contract is going to be difficult to move even if the Wizards were interested in doing that, so let's have a look at 3 other former Golden State players who could find new homes. 1. Dario Saric. If Denver could trade Dario Saric, then surely they would. Has been handler of Nug Love, but last month, the Nuggets need to find a way to get rid of Dario Saric. However, actually executing a deal is going to be far easier said than done. For some odd reason, Denver gave Saric a second-year player option on his new contract in free agency, an option the Croatian is sure to pick given his place outside the Nuggets rotation and subsequent inability to build any greater value. That player option could dissuade potential trade partners, rather than being a far more easily moved expiring contract. The other significant issue is Denver's lack of draft assets. They would need to be attached just to get Saric off their books, let alone actually acquiring a serviceable player the other way. Possible landing spot. Brooklyn Nets. The Nuggets need a backup center to support Nikola Jokic and somehow lessen the reliance on the 3x MVP. Could they flip Saric for Day'Ron Sharpe at the Brooklyn Nets? It's possible but unlikely, given Denver would probably have to include their 2031 first-round pick. 2. Patrick Baldwin Jr. Of all Golden State's draft misses in the past decade, it's easy to forget that they used a first-round pick on Patrick Baldwin Jr. before trading him 12 months later. No one is going to call the Wizards about Baldwin specifically, but his future is still somewhat uncertain as a potential trade candidate. As Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype put in early December, watch out for Baldwin to be used as salary filler in trade talks, given he's averaged just 4.2 minutes in 19 games with Washington this season. Possible landing spot. Los Angeles Lakers. If the Lakers want to get their hands on Jonas Valanciunas, then perhaps Baldwin may have to be involved to match salaries in a trade. 3. Chris Paul. Chris Paul's leadership and veteran experience makes him so much more valuable to the San Antonio Spurs than just his place as the starting point guard. That makes it unlikely that the veteran is moved before the deadline, but his very movable $10.5 million salary was always viewed as a potential trade piece as soon as he signed in San Antonio. It really comes down to how much the Spurs value Paul's leadership in comparison to whatever assets they could possibly acquire in a trade with a more contending team in need of a point guard. Possible landing spots. Minnesota Timberwolves. Dante DiVincenzo has entered the Timberwolves starting lineup and subsequently lifted his form immensely without the pressure of a greater playmaking role off the bench. However, there has been a proposal that would swap the former Golden State guards, given Mike Conley's poor production and Chris Finch's unwillingness to use 8th overall pick Rob Dillingham.